Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spiral Podcast. Today is the Ohio State podcast where I grade their performance versus whoever they played the previous week. And I do it in categories such as offense, defense, coaching, etc. All the categories that really impacted the win or loss that Ohio State had. So let's get right into it. The first one I'm going to be grading is the offense. And against Purdue, I think they had an A. I think their performance was great. You know, they played really well. Howard had 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Plus a rushing touchdown and 0 picks. So, in that aspect, really good. Travion Henderson has been playing great. I think he's better than Quinshon Judkins, honestly. I think he's just more explosive, more agile. His elusiveness is something that is really good about him. His blocking has gotten way better since last year. Like, it's been really good. Quinshon is also really good, though. But I just think Travion just gets more yards. Quinshon's more that short yardage back. But anyways, Travion had 14.2 yards to carry, which is really good. And then obviously Jeremiah Smith broke the touchdown record for a single season by a freshman. So that's amazing. Jeremiah Smith is just amazing wide receiver, freak athlete. He could be one of the best wide receivers to ever go through the program. And it's crazy that we'll have him for 2 more years. And he's probably already the wide receiver 1 for the team, which is insane. There were some misplays, though. Will Howard specifically underthrew Carnell Tate on a really easy touchdown. That would have been nice to see him make that throw for sure, because Will Howard's tendency on deep ball, like his deep balls, I actually saw something where like 10th best in the country. But that doesn't mean they're necessarily great for Ohio State. I think he kind of gets bailed out by our wide receiver sometimes. Sometimes they'll throw like a great throw. Like he had a really great pass to Travion Henderson on the sideline. One to, I think it was Jeremiah Smith on the sideline when we were at like our own 10. But yeah, he underthrew him pretty badly, and it is a little concerning. And then sometimes we'll overthrow the wide receiver. Against Penn State, he did throw a pretty good ball, but Jeremiah Smith kind of messed that one up. But other times they'll like throw it a little bit out of bounds, and it's hard to adjust to make the catch. But Will Howard, for what he is, let's not say, like, I'm not trying to take away anything from him. I think he's a great quarterback, but he did come from Kansas State, so for an Ohio State expectation, he might not be living up to a CJ Stroud or Justin Fields, but he's still a good quarterback, and he's getting the games done for the most part, except for that Oregon game, which was unfortunate. But I think he's learned from his mistakes too, so it's good to see that from Howard. Defense, I'm going to give a B+. So 45-0, you see 0 points for Purdue, but I'm going to explain why I think it's only a B+. And there's a few reasons why. Number one, a reason why it is pretty high is that they only gave up 108 passing yards, so that's really good. Hudson Card, I don't think is a terrible quarterback by any means. I think he's actually pretty good for a Purdue quarterback, especially. He only had no touchdowns, obviously. Only 108 passing yards. I think it is worth noting, though, that Purdue could have had 6, maybe 10, maybe 14 points. Probably not 14, but they could have had at least 6 to 10 points if they made their field goals. And then I think they should have gone for a touchdown pass when they were in our pretty deep. It was like the 4-yard line, and they kicked a 21-yard field goal instead. But whatever. But I think that's worth noting as well. They should have scored at least 6 points. But Purdue's running back, Mockbee is his name. He was doing really good against Ohio State. He was breaking a lot of tackles. He looked pretty explosive. And overall, he was like their only offense besides a couple of good throws. Another thing I think is worth noting is that it's Purdue. Purdue is not an amazing team by any stretch of the means. They only have 1 win this season. They're just not good. So take this with a grain of salt. I think Ohio State still needs to be held to a higher standard than. Yes, it's good to celebrate 0 points, but that was not their best defensive performance by any means. And also, I think Burke got beaten pretty badly again a couple times. And Davison Igmanosin has some penalty issues for sure, so he's got to get that under control. And Burke has got to play better because we really need him as a veteran DB on this team. He came back for his senior year, and he's not really playing up to his senior expectation. So for that, I think a B+ is fair. Ohio State definitely could have played better. They definitely did play better against Penn State last week, but it is what it is. Maybe just the fact that it is Purdue is just not high morale and energy for the game. So that's that. I think a B+ is fair. And then for special teams, I'm going to give them an A+. They actually did get really good this week. They had a block and a touchdown blocked punt, and a touchdown, plus a few field goals. So A+, definitely deserved. They actually not only didn't hurt the game, but they actually impacted it and helped us win. So A+ is fair. I think it was really cool to see that. I think it was Caden Curry with the block. So really cool to see. And special teams played great. All aspects, really. So A+ for special teams. And then the coaching, I'm going to give them an A-. I thought that it was actually pretty good again. It's hard to tell with Purdue, but I thought it was good. They had Chip Kelly's plays, I think, are really creative. And there's two things that come off of that. It's either they take way too long to develop, and then the play just is not good, and it's a loss for yards. Or it's like a really good trickery or option or zone read or something that just throws off the defense, specifically linebackers. I noticed when the running backs take the ball, they really like to mess up those linebackers because if they know the wide receivers are going to be a threat. They get them out of the area of the field if it's a run play especially. And then they'll really try and sell those linebackers, make them think they're going one way, whether that's with the lineman pulling one direction or blocking in one direction, and then the running back goes the other way. And then some linemen also will pull over to the other side, get some good blocks, and then with the explosiveness we have with Travion Henderson specifically, it's really hard to stop it, and Will Howard also. So that, I think, is really utilizing that, but sometimes they'll do like 3 pitches in the backfield and then try and cut it upfield, and it just takes way too long to develop. And it really relies on like only a few blocks to make the play work, and if you fail, you fail. So I think it could be a good play call, but on Saturday against Purdue, Emeka Egbuka missed a pretty big block that led to like an 8-yard negation, and it was like 2nd and 18, so that's really not where you want to be. But Chip Kelly, I think he did good. Jim Knowles' defense, he tried. You can tell that they kind of tried out new things this game that they wanted to try out all season. I think Jim Knowles, he was doing this thing where 3 defensive linemen were lined up on the line, and there would be 5 offensive linemen typically, like obviously, and then they would have a 4th linebacker come down on the line and try and get around the edge, but it never worked. Like, it literally never worked because Purdue's quarterback is looking at that guy at the start of the play, and he's saying, whatever side he lines up on, we're just going to run it the other way. First of all, you already have an advantage on 2-on-1 with the lineman on that one side, and the linebacker's not going to be able to cut it back around the whole line by the time that the running back gets to a spot. So, I mean, I just don't know what the crap that was. It was not working at all. I think they probably averaged like 5 yards at least a play on that defensive scheme. So, really not good. The announcer said they was from like Oklahoma or State or something from Jim Knowles, but it just was not good. I don't even know how it worked at Oklahoma State anyways, but, I just think it gets brought down because of that a little bit. But it is good that they aren't trying that in a Michigan game or an Indiana game or playoff game or championship game. So that is a positive on that side. And then overall, I think it's an A. I think it was a great game all around. 45-0 win is always nice to see. But there's definitely a lot of things that could be worked on. That's why it's not an A+, even though the score is really good. I think there's still a bunch of flaws that our team has that are probably going to get overlooked, honestly, for this week because it was Purdue. But yeah, I mean, they're very evident to me, and I'm sure some other people see some of the issues they have. So they got to keep working, keep grinding, and try and get better. So that's my grading of Ohio State, Ohio State's performance against Purdue. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.